Hello everyone, and welcome to Punctuate Theatre and Dreamspeakers Virtual Indigenous Artist Hub. I'm Rebecca Sadowski, a Métis dance artist from Edmonton, Alberta. And today I have the privilege of sitting down and chatting with Josh Liangdo. And Josh is an Anishinaabe playwright, theatre artist, and educator currently working in Edmonton. Josh is currently a student at the University of Alberta, and he's working on his Master's in Fine Arts in theatre practices with a focus on Indigenous playwriting and storytelling. He's also a proud member of the Playwrights Guild of Canada, and some of his plays that you might be familiar with are Rocko and Nakota, Tales from the Land, The Eyes Are of Spirits, Civil Blood, A Treaty Story, IN-COR-RI-GI-BLE, The Legend of Thundervoice, and as well as a play in progress, Feast.
You know, I find myself, I go through these peaks of like deep, insightful wisdom and like incredible knowledge and projections towards the future. And then I have days of just excruciating anxiety and everything in between. And frankly, the last couple of days, I've been feeling a little down as well. Like I've kind of come down and I'm kind of finding my way back up again. That's led to some interesting ideas for art that I've like kind of started dabbling in. I find the craze itself has, you know, everybody's saying now is the time to write, and I guess it kind of is, and I have been, but I find it's limited my output. Like I can't produce or output as much as I would like to.
Has any projects come out of this time for you?
Started dabbling with ideas for a sequel to Rocko and Nakota.
Oh yeah.
I take a lot of walks. I go for like a half hour, 40-minute walk a day just around my neighborhood. And I've just noticed a lot of birds, crows in particular, and I've started like finding relation with the crows, and like that's inspired a series of monologues. So I've played with the idea of Rocko, Nakota, and Buju, Tales from the Pandemic. Whether or not that becomes a big thing, I don't know.
Something that I really loved about Feast when we were reading that play was the animals and their characters in that play. And I wonder if you could speak a bit to how your heritage informs your writing and your plays.
Sure. I live this weird trifecta life because like I'm Anishinaabe, but I'm here on Cree territory.
Yeah.
I was raised in Cree ceremony, and my dad was adopted by the Languedocs, the Longdos, a French Catholic family. So I got this weird like circle of ancestors, but like being raised in Cree ceremony here, and receiving a lot of animal teachings from here, and just doing my own kind of investigating into what these animal spirits represent here on Cree land, and then finding my own connection to what the Anishinaabe animal interpretation is. There's a lot of there's some similarities, but there's a lot of differences as well.
Right.
In particularly, and speaking to Feast specifically, the four animals in there represent the four main animals of the Anishinaabe medicine wheel, and the four animals of the Cree medicine wheel are different. I was given a name by a Cree elder when I was 8. It's a name I often forget sometimes, but when I do think about it, I draw a lot of inspiration from that name, because you know you're given an animal, and that animal's supposed to kind of represent at least your spirit at that time, and it continues. And I'd say mine still does. And when I do connect with it, it still has a lot of meaning and does fuel kind of how I work, how I create, and just how I view my life and my existence in this world right now.
Wow, that's beautiful. Is it the dragon on your mug?
Yeah, that's it's the Maleficent dragon. Before playwriting kind of took off, my goal was to become a drama teacher and mentor like teenagers and how to become stage performers and artists themselves. Lo and behold, that's also the time playwriting. I kind of decided to submit more to playwriting, and
Yeah.
that started to take off more and more. But I still love working with young people. I've taught all around Edmonton Public. I've been teaching at the Citadel for 7 years. I think my teaching partner and I were trying to figure that out the other day. 7 years, I think,
Wow.
working with young ones. And they developed a theater class, a play pretend class for children with autism, which I've been running with my teaching partner and a couple other colleagues as well. So we've been trying to adapt theater to those communities and students with those needs.
Yeah.
I do work right now, thank goodness, I'm very thankful of this. I work part-time at a school. It's Caraway. I co-teach a junior high room where my kind of focus of that class has been writing and some drama stuff and some like creative project-based stuff. It's a project-based kind of forest, like nature school.
Wow. Very
It's been
cool.
interesting moving that online.
Yeah.
I've also been teaching playwriting with Workshop West's Rites of Passage program, which is a student teen playwriting program. And that particularly has been a really, really fun thing to do. Just seeing what these teenagers in high schools can write in the span of 5 days and create, and then we bring to life for their very eyes. And it's like this aha moment. It's the same feeling I got the first time I heard my words read out loud, and still get that, kind of shivery feeling now when it works, and bad shivers when it doesn't work, I guess.
What excites you about being an Indigenous playwright in our country right now?
It's a very, very bold time right now where, with the Truth and Reconciliation event that happened years ago, and now there's all this talk about, well, what is authentic reconciliation, what's inauthentic reconciliation, and that's led to a lot of artists to be pushed to the forefront to own their own work authentically. So we're starting to see all of these stories and creations that have come from a very, very authentic place for a lot of artists, and just a lot of people asking, well, why have these narratives been ignored for so long, and kind of deconstructing what is theater, what is art from, the mainstream kind of colonial vantage point, and how do we deepen that, like not tear it down, but deepen what's there by having these authentic Indigenous voices who are, I would argue, the real stories of Canada.
What challenges have you maybe faced as an Indigenous writer through the years, and has that changed or morphed your work?
Extraction is a very, very big thing the communities are wary of, understandably so. So I find that's an interesting challenge for Indigenous artists, is avoiding that sense of extractivism and, creating art for your community rather than, about someone or about an idea. It's creating art for something from a very authentic place. I would argue there is some resistance to bringing Indigenous stories into mainstream theaters. Even here in Edmonton, there are some theaters who I don't see them extending their hand to the Indigenous community. And I think I'm hoping that may change, but there seems to be not so much a pushback, but just a hesitation or a resistance, or I don't know if this will sell tickets. I don't know if this will please my demographic. For me, rather than recognizing your demographic can widen by telling different stories like that. I mean, I'd love to connect more with elders. Now it's kind of a hard time to do that, but that's kind of a big thing I want to do. The big goal, which my advisor at the U of A, Kenneth T. Williams, he's advised I learn Anishinaabe, which over the next 4 months, I'm actually going to start taking online Anishinaabe classes so I can speak the language a little bit, or at least have some relation to my home language. Aside from that, again, once all of this is over, I actually have research money to go down to Saugeen First Nation, where my dad was born, and start doing connecting to the community out there.
I really admire you for really spreading yourself across many different disciplines in terms of teaching and writing and just sharing your work. And I am so excited to see what comes out of this time and what you do afterwards. So thank you so much for joining us on the Virtual Indigenous Artist Hub. And yeah, I'm sure we will meet again soon. I hope we can connect in person one day. Dreamspeakers and Punctuate Theatre would also like to thank their funders. Without their support, this project would not be possible. Make sure to check out all of the other Indigenous artists we are highlighting in this series. I'm Rebecca Stowski. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. See you next time.